Okay, Long Beach. Track's 18 degrees. Most of the practice sessions I've been in have been 18, 19 degrees. When you get into a race, it could be in the low 20s. So basically, everything here applies, but just means being a little harder on the brakes and just a little easier on the throttle pickup. Uh, it does make a big difference in terms of how much grip you have if the track's in the low 20s. So be aware of that. The description, the setup is in the description below. Basically 5 SPO, 8 ARB, 53% brakes. Um, I found this track was the first time was last season. I did all right, but coming at it in season 2 with fresh eyes, um, I found I was really over driving it. This track, to really put in the fast times, it's braking early and getting on the throttle early. So if you're in the 34s, 35s, 36s, really start trying to look at braking earlier and getting on the throttle earlier, and that should really get your time down. So we'll go through these corners in slow-mo and then run it out at full speed. So basically, coming down the straight here, 5th gear, you want to hug the right-hand side. It does save you a little time. I've seen people go left and sort of sweep in right, but if you hug the right-hand side, it will save you 2, 3, 4 hundredths. Not a lot of time, but it's free time, so take it. If there's a car behind you in the race drafting, obviously you're probably going to have to go left if you're going to fight for turn 1. So coming up into turn 1 here. So basically this white line is a good guide, but in a race you won't be able to see it if there's a car in front of you. So be aware of this 3 and 400 board. So right about this 400 board, going to get on the brakes. So about a couple car lengths before the end of this white line, getting on the brakes, pretty heavy, shifting down into second eventually here. And then this Firestone marker, the red one, going to start the turn in, or I guess maybe the white one it was. You want to aim the car, so we're already releasing the brakes, getting on the throttle. There's this flat section of the curb here and this angled section, so you want to be sort of aiming for the flat section. You can get your tire just on the edge of this angled section. You don't want to take too much, otherwise it's going to unsettle the car. So you can see I just get a little tire bump there. That's all you want to take. We're already back at full throttle in second gear, staying in second gear, and just unwinding close to the barrier here as you can without smashing, hugging the right hand side, and then sort of at this red Firestone marker here, we're going to get on the brakes and head towards this left hand barrier, down into first gear, and then easing off the brakes, starting to get on the power. This red curb, you want to get your tire on there, but don't get on this gray stuff. It will unsettle the car and compromise you. So easing up on the throttle, getting to full power, and holding it in second gear, or shifting up into second gear, I guess. Now coming into this next corner, I actually screw this one up a little bit. So basically you want to be looking for this red marker, or red advertisement, getting on the brakes there a little bit, on cold tires a bit of brakes, and on hot tires just lightly on the brakes. I tried something different here, going off throttle. It does work, but it's not as fast, so do as I say, not as I do. I should be braking here and then getting on the throttle, so I was losing a little time here. And again, the flat curbs and the angled curbs, you want to just graze the angled section. I should be on full power here, but because I didn't brake, I'm not on full power, and maybe just took a little bit too much curb there. But easing back up, full power, second gear, and then gonna work up to third gear. So just before these black signs, I'm probably braking here just a little bit early. Probably right about here would be the good braking spot. And then at the end of these black signs, turning in, shifting down into second gear, and aiming for these curbs now. I want to be actually keeping the left-hand tire on the track. I came in a little tight here, little too much curb. I could be on full power right now, but I'm not because of that bump. So again, that's where I lost a little time. So do as I say, not as I do. So working up from second, working up the gears. So coming up to the next one here, gonna brake just before the 200 board. I know a lot of people brake later, but again, I just find braking early, getting on the power early is the fastest way. So braking and shifting down to second gear at this 100 board, turning in and just starting to release the brake, getting on the power, and you just kind of have to feel it out. You don't want to clip this barrier, so I eased off a little bit and then got back on the full power, running the car out to the sort of the mid-track. You don't really want to go all the way wide. You can actually take it a little tighter. You will gain a little time at the beginning of this straight, but you will lose it at the end of the straight. So I find mid-track's the best. You don't lose too much time at the start, and you will accelerate and gain some time towards the end, towards the next turn here. So coming up to the 200 board, gonna brake just about in front of it, down into second gear, pretty heavy on the brakes, and at the 100 board again, turning in, already released the brake, getting on the throttle, and you can be really aggressive here, get right up to the barrier. You're not gonna get a 1X, and full power, unwinding the wheel. Just got to watch, make sure you don't leave a tire on the entry or the exit. So you heard there I shifted up into fifth gear. That's a no-no. Keep it in fourth unless you're drafting, and you can maybe make some real time shifting up into fifth gear. But if there's no one in front of you, you will not gain any time shifting up into fifth gear. You will gain a little bit of speed, but you will lose it trying to get this corner settled out. So because I was in fifth gear, I'm braking here when I should be braking just past the 300 board. So this compromised my time a little bit. So braking down into second gear, I carried just a little bit too much speed here because I was up in fifth. And again, aiming for this curb. Again, you want to keep the left-hand wheel sort of on the edge of this flat curb portion and just graze or even just avoid the rumble curbs here. So second gear. Unwind it. Again, I came out a little wide just because I messed up that fifth gear section. So we're in second gear, just releasing the throttle, just a touch of brake there. You want to hold this tight, keep your left-hand tire on the curbs. You don't want to run wide here, you're just going to lose time. Probably could have avoided those rumble curbs. And right here, you'll see it in full motion or full speed, shifting into first gear, and then just getting on the throttle. The engine's not going to be happy, but first gear and just releasing the throttle. And then when you're about a car length from the rumble strips here, you want to get on the brakes, so right probably about here. And then this the flat section curb is kind of where you want to do the turn in, or this left barrier edge. In first gear, heavy on the brakes. This is a little bit of voodoo, this hairpin, so it's a tough one to get right. This isn't the best, but it's pretty good. It would have been nicer to be a little tighter against the wall here. But getting on the throttle, you have to ease on the throttle. If you do it too much, you could lose your back end. And if you do it too much as well, you could understeer and put your front tire on the left-hand barrier. So it's a tough one to get. It does take a lot of practice, and even with a lot of practice, it's still easy to screw up. So that's a 131.2. So good luck out there. Hope to see you out there, and hope to not see you in the barrier. Hit the like or subscribe. We'll do it at full speed, and we'll see you next time.